Music, industry talk, stories, equipment and more. We are Crossfader and this is off the record. Off the record. Off the record.
Hello, welcome back to the first podcast of 2025. It's Off the Record with the boys.
New Year, who dis?
We can't say Happy New Year anymore, can we?
Nah, it's past that.
Basically 2026 now.
Yeah.
How are we, boys?
Good, how are you?
Good to be back.
Yeah, it is good to be back.
Cool to be back.
We were just saying it feels like ages since we last did one. And
Long
it hasn't
time.
actually been that long, but it just feels like a long time.
No,
I think
no.
the sort of Christmas holidays, we all break up, don't we?
Yeah.
And we're not in office for
Yeah.
best part of 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So
You was off for a bit.
Yeah, I wasn't
Then
in the last podcast.
No, then I sort of in between. I've interviewed James, and then
Yeah.
then it was me and you for a bit.
Yeah.
And then I've just recorded one with Rewire, which will come out after this.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting. But we're back. We're in business, aren't we, boys? And
Yep.
We are.
full systems go. There's
and not to freak anyone out,
Go.
if you're watching this,
Yes.
you might see that we've got this new camera slider, testing it out for
It's
the podcast.
moving.
So
It's a slider, isn't it?
See what
It kind of
happens.
moves
You're not
the
tripping
long-
out. It is really happening.
left to right. There's loads to get stuck into. Loads going on. We're going to start the year off with setting goals for you guys, and a big thing of our focus when we get back in the office together, we're like, right, what do we want to achieve for the year? And we have a big grand plan, and then all we do is sort of break that down into chunks, like into quarters and into months and into weeks. And I want you to take a similar approach to DJing, but I basically reached out to our sort of whole community and asked them, what are their goals for the year? And there were three big topics, which was getting gigs, always,
Yeah.
which is
Always
fine,
getting
and we always want to try and support that. Getting new equipment and sort of DJing in public as well. So we'll talk a little bit about them, but I want to start with a public service announcement, right? If you listen to this, please back up your DJ library, because my laptop died on me the other day, and fortunately I'd backed it up about a month before, so I didn't lose anything. But this is your sign, just to go back up your
New Year,
laptop.
back up.
Just
Yep.
do it.
Fresh.
Just set your alarm every month just to back up, just so you don't lose any music. I've lost a month of music, but we're all good.
It's better than years worth.
Yeah,
Exactly,
absolutely.
which it could have been. Stuff going on. You're flying out tomorrow, Jamie, to America.
I am, yeah.
What's going on?
So, I'm flying out to LA for Namm. Now, obviously, there's been a lot of wildfires there. So, it's probably
Thoughts and prayers.
bit of a different year than usual, especially landing in LA. There's been a lot of people displaced. But Namm is still going ahead. It's South LA. It's not been affected by the fire, so it is still going ahead. They are raising money. There's a foundation that they're raising money to help those that have been displaced.
Yeah. We'll post the foundation.
For those that don't know, Namm is just a huge convention of music gear, music businesses. Obviously, we went to IMS earlier in the year. It's a bit different to those kind of conventions. IMS is a bit more networking. This is
more
much
techie.
more tech. Yeah,
more techie.
and it's huge in just the general music sense, where you've got all the guitar brands, piano brands, you've got Yamaha and stuff like
Production.
that. Yeah, and then you've got your whole production area. And then you've got a big DJ area, and the DJ area has been part of it for years and years and years. So you'll have your usual culprits like Alpha Theta there. I think Native Instruments, In Music, Reloop, loads of the key brands in the DJ industry. So I'm just really excited. I've got some meetings planned. I want to connect face to face with some of these brands that we're working with, and some of the great people that make awesome products in the industry. But other than that, I'm also going to just check out what's on the floor in the convention center. What new products there are. I don't think there's going to be anything like groundbreakingly new, but I'm interested to see what all of the, not just your controllers, not just the, the main DJ equipment, like all the accessories and other things you could think about as a DJ, backpacks, all that kind of stuff, like what's going on in that side of the industry for DJs. So there'll be a lot going on for that. I'm going to have a quick look at all the music production stuff as well, even though, we don't cover that to much extent, but it's still interesting to look at and see where it's going.
Yep.
So yeah, I'll be getting some footage, of course. So check all the socials, check Instagram stories. I'll be on there. It runs Thursday and Friday next week, so I don't know when that is, when this will go out.
We'll have a bit of a narrative on podcast in some kind of way. But
I might record something while I'm out there and send it to you guys.
Yes,
But exciting.
That's exciting times. Yeah, like you say, like having a look at the production stuff, because DJing is becoming such more modular, and it's a lot of people just experiment with music, playing with music. So I'll be interested to see if there's any sort of products that link that. I know that Hercules are dropping something while they're there. They announced it on their page, didn't they? But we'll have a bit more on that when it comes out. Yeah, so interesting. But what I want to talk about is starting off this year with like setting your goals. And the main topic of a conversation when I reached out, and we had loads of responses from you guys, was basically getting more gigs, which we talk about obviously a lot in passing, and we've talked about our experiences. But it does change, like because of the landscape, the nature of the gigs out there and the type of gigs, it does change over time. So it's not like the same advice that we give 5 years ago. It's not the same. You can reach people in different ways. You can connect. You can get different types of gigs like all over the world now. So I think the main three sort of steps to sort of getting more gigs is three things, which is sort of get very specific about what you want. Then you need to sort of build a profile around it, and then you need to sort of network or sort of link up with the people in that sort of industry. So if you ask yourself some questions of like, right, I want to get specific about where I want to DJ. It's like, where exactly do you want to DJ? Because now, you know, is it in clubs or is that sort of in your area? Is it like where we are now, not many clubs left? Yeah. So if I was getting into DJing, I'd be like, right, let me start to think.
Find a new entry point.
A bit more outside the box. So maybe that is like, you know, there's loads and loads of sort of brunch places opening, restaurants and things like that. There's loads of like, even sort of like, you know, like your trendy gyms and things like that. I'd be like, where can I just get some exposure or get my foot in the door? Maybe it's private events. You know, maybe it's some lot of pop-up shops. I see on YouTube a lot, like coffee shops and things like that. But
that's where you can think about who you know that's not necessarily directly tied to the nightlife industry, but who do you know in your networks, your extended family, friends, your friends of friends? Who can you get in touch with where, you know, DJing and music is such a cultural part of the world now. And I guarantee if you know a coffee shop owner or something, they'll probably be like, yeah, that sounds like a cool idea. Come and DJ. Not, you know, you're not filling a spot. It's something new that you're providing and you're giving that opportunity to that coffee shop owner or that yoga studio or that, you know, fitness, you know,
whatever
class or whatever. Something new and unique, and it gets you in front of people. It gets you experience. And it doesn't always have to be now in a club, like you say. And I think start with looking at your network and also what is in your area, exactly like you say, and sort of bring the two together and just find any opportunity you can.
Because it's not about the, you know, say you get a job at like a local gym or something. It's not about that's what you want to be doing. No. So I did one for mine where I train at. And as I was doing it, two people came up to me and asked if I did weddings. And it's like, here we go. And it's like, and then we're having a conversation about it now. So it's not that necessarily that's your end goal, but it's about just getting yourself a bit more comfortable, an opportunity, and then in front of people that you never know who's sort of going to show up. And I say, you just have to get creative around what it is you want to do. So if you have the end goal in mind, you can sort of start to take baby steps towards that. It doesn't mean that, right, I want to DJ in clubs, and then you reach out to clubs and you can't get one, that it's like, okay, I'm done. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's definitely steps towards that end goal.
Yeah, of course.
And don't turn stuff down. Like, if you think, oh, this is a bit weird, like I'm in this random coffee shop, it's all experience.
We've all done weird
fucking all
gigs.
Experience. Like,
I do feel like it's more cooler than it's ever been, though, in a way, because like you go on YouTube and you see like people just DJing in the living room, or like you said, DJing in the coffee shop. It's like that seems to be more popular on the YouTube side stuff than club. Performances are.
Like one of your first gigs was like a restaurant, innit? Yeah. Which then was weird.
Yeah. Back then. But now it's like way more.
Now it's just like normal.
Pretty acceptable.
As a DJ, of course, there's a DJ. Like some high-end restaurants, I turn up and there's not a DJ. I'm like, where's the DJ? But I think it's it's a good point actually. It's a bit more commonplace now just to sort of have a DJ as sort of entertainment. I think get specific with like the music that you want to play. I think there's two sort of trains of thought. I think in the past we'd sort of suggested being like, all right, if you sort of can play everything open format, it does give you a lot of leeway to lean in, especially if this is the route you want to go down and just try and get something in anywhere. But the way social media works and algorithms and YouTube and things now, you can be a lot more specific in what you want to do and find your tribe a little bit easier.
It's the first time I feel like in the industry it's actually become more apparent that you can lean into that.
Niche
and
isn't
it's
very
probably
niche
been
anymore.
since COVID. It was like a big reset at COVID. And then it was the fact that, you know, all these new spaces had to crop up. They were online spaces, and then they've branched out into physical spaces. But that then allowed people to explore and just do their own thing and not be pushed into a box as much. So definitely in the last few years has allowed DJs to lean into what their subgenres of music potentially are. Like, it will minimize. You got to think about like how popular is this genre? How popular is this culture that I want to tap into, you know?
Yeah.
And that will dictate then roughly how many gigs or opportunities there are. So you've got to know that in your mind.
Good.
You can't have some like really obscure, I just want to play this like sub genre of hard dance or something.
Yeah. But there's
Like, can you name 10 places where you
Yeah.
could play that?
Yeah.
You know, think about that. So
No,
you know.
it's a good point. Yeah, if you say you're an old school DJ or something, you're like into 90s house or something, it's hard to sort of maybe find that local gig anywhere, but it doesn't mean that you can't build your own community off the back of that.
Yeah, online. Yeah.
Initially. And then who knows what can come off the back of that. You've seen, you know, a lot of YouTube platforms that we follow now who've built a big following now do sort of in live gigs, so because you built up such a community and you want to go and see the people behind it like in person, don't you? I think it's a good point of like whatever you sort of love to play, you know, going back when we was doing lots of student gigs, you'd have what you really wanted to play, like you love bass and stuff like that. I love hip hop, but we'd know how to play everything because we need them open format gigs to tick a box in between. Don't necessarily mean we love them, but you can find ways to sort of fall in love with other music, but in your style, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? You can.
I mean, it's been a recurring theme with the guests that you've had on, like James Hype mentioned it loads about putting those hours in.
Yeah.
You know, putting the hours in where you're playing to 5 people on a dance floor, you're playing music you don't like, but you're in the club, you're behind the decks and you're playing to people and you're just putting those hours in.
Yeah.
And that end goal, you'll creep closer and closer to it. And I think it's that, it goes back to that. Like, you know, experiment with a bit of hip hop even if you're a house DJ, just so that you've got that in your bank to be able to like do a last minute gig and get some experience and maybe never do it again, but like it's all good learning and it's all good exposure to what it means to be a DJ.
For sure, yeah.
absolutely.
But like I say, I think it is never been a better time to like lean into your niche for sure. Like you mentioned James Hype there, remember he was saying it is a lot easier for people if you do sort of fit into a box. And like, you know, it shouldn't be that way, but now it's actually a lot easier because, you know, if say you start a YouTube channel or Instagram or whatever and it's like, okay, every video is techno, you will find a crowd very easily and build it up a lot more consistently than maybe a few years ago. Start asking yourself like all these questions will sort of start to build a picture. Okay, it's like now I know what I want to do, what I want to achieve, who my audience is, you know, what I'm going to be DJing on, where I want to play, how long, for what time. You can start to be like, okay, narrow down my options. Because you might have thought, actually, you know, I want to be in clubs, but if it's like, you know, you're in your 30s, you've got a couple of young kids and stuff, you might be like, actually, that's not for me. So now I'm like, okay, take a step back. Where can I sort of play out? And I'm sort of looking at daytime events. I'm sort of looking at brunches. I'm looking at daytime raves. I'm looking at building a YouTube community. So you can start to work backwards, because I think a lot of people just sort of like go into stuff blindly, you know, just sort of go down routes that they don't want to end up in. And I definitely did that at certain times in my career. Just saying yes to everything, and all of a sudden you just I'm doing 7 nights a week at like playing random shit that I don't like.
Well, I think there's definitely that tipping point where you start to get a few gigs and then you start to, you know, pick up other gigs off the back of those gigs and you start to think, oh, I can turn this into actually like a career now. And there's that tipping point of going from, this is a hobby that I just do and make a bit of extra cash and it's fun, to, okay, am I trying to do this as my job? You know, am I trying to make money out of it and live a life from it? And there's definitely that tipping point where you kind of go, I need to accept everything because I've got to make this work now. I've got to just take the money, and then it's like you've got to refine and go, okay, well, can I swap this gig for a better gig, a higher paid gig, more aligned with my brand, and you keep swapping gigs out at that point. But there is a tipping point, I think, where you do have to sort of accept quite a lot if you're going to make it a career and you're not an artist yet. There's this sort of weird area where you're like, okay, I am a working DJ and I will do that gig and I'll do it well. And I'll do this gig and I'll also do it well because I'm a well-rounded DJ. And then once you've got like a solid repetitive income, you can go, okay, I don't really like, this is my lowest paid, weakest gig. Let's work at replacing that and then putting the feelers out there and using your contacts.
We've got a section in a podcast coming out in a couple of weeks. I spoke to a guy called Sabian, and he was supporting James Hype on tour, and he's part of like the Stereo Hype team. And I was asking him, you know, what he's doing with this year, and he's basically at that point. So this year he's focusing on stepping back, because he was getting a lot of opportunities, but he felt like it wasn't right for him. So he's basically stepping back, focusing on music and music production alone because he's been around sort of James Hype and that team. He knows what the end goal needs to be.
That's
so
good,
instead of getting like in the weeds of like taking gigs here and gigs here and just all of a sudden you've got no time to do with what he needs to do, he's actually been like, all this year I'm just going to focus on what I need to get to the end goal, which is like what I think a lot of people will like, that tipping point that you're talking about. Once you get to that point, you need to right now you sort of need to focus on building your profile. Now we're talking about like getting gigs. There are loads of DJs that we know and we've spoken to before that don't have a online profile, online presence, but have loads of gigs. But they're already sort of in the community. They've already got connections, have built it up over time.
It's more than likely they've been around for longer than Instagram's been around, right?
Absolutely.
You know,
sure.
roughly that.
Yeah, sure, exactly, right. But it's this thing of committing, and I've seen it. I've noticed a big shift. There's a lot of people that haven't posted for a while that are really heavily posting. You can feel that January refresh. Do you know what I mean? I'm not seeing posts from these guys in ages, but all of a sudden it's like every day, and I'm like, I love that. But it's like, how can you go past that? Because it does get to a point where
they don't sustain it.
You don't sustain it, and then that's when you drop off. I've seen like loads of like YouTube and Reels and TikToks and that. And I'm like, is it just January energy, or you could be that DJ posting on the 1st of Feb? You know what I mean? It's a bit like the gym, innit?
Stopping drinking or any of those things.
Gyms
New
are
Year's
packed.
resolution.
So busy.
It's a little bit like that, right? Can you go beyond that 30 days and like really stick it out, because you'll see the benefits really quickly. We've had even the team has been speaking to a lot of our students and really trying to get behind the story of our students. And there's one girl called Nat, I think she's in Canada. I think she's in Canada. But she took our course not too long ago, kept posting like every single day for ages, and then she got some gigs in a ski resort. She's been sort of doing regular gigs there, and again it's just that it's amazing what can happen really quickly off the back of just being consistent. We had a message today about some guy wanted help on posting, like he's like, what angle should I be taking, and you know, is this right, is that right? And there's a lot of, I think, people worried about failing, whereas actually the actual sort of trick or the cheat code is just to keep going.
It's a bit like when going back to taking those random gigs and playing to 3 people and it just not being a great, you know, gig, but it's all experience. The same thing needs to happen online, and that's what people need to understand, is that you've got to like put those hours in, even in the online space. Like upload the shit videos. Upload, you learn from it. You know, the comments, you learn from it. Some of the first mixes I put on YouTube for Crossfader, it was Sunday DJ Skills, we called it, every Sunday. And some of those first mixes, like I look back at them like what the hell? My God, that's horrendous.
Even like a year ago,
you know, some of it was like really clashing in key because I was focusing on other like technical skills, things, and then when I listen back, I'm like, oh, there's way more room for improvement there. Why did I do that? But then, you know, and even just people commenting, don't take it to heart. Like,
you can't.
There's always going to be people that comment their thoughts and opinions, but sometimes you might read the comment and go, you know what?
That's right.
Fair enough. I'll change that next time. You know, and it's you don't know if you don't post something out. So it's don't worry about it being perfect.
Yeah, definitely.
It's been and gone as well, especially if you're focusing on TikTok and Instagram. Like, you know, it's not going to be there for a long time. It plays the algorithm, then it disappears after a month.
You can really get trapped, and everyone will, right? It's easy for us to say, but obviously we've been doing this for 10 plus years to like train our brains to like not care about comments. But you will get in a cycle of just like, oh God. But like Jamie says, if you can take some kind of like constructive criticism out of them, it might make you a DJ all round. And also, it's also a skill in itself. And also, what you'll find is, let's say we did a post, right, and it gets, say, 10,000 likes, 60 comments, and like, you know, 5 of them are really, really like hurtful. It's like, do it for the 10,000 likes. They're the people you like. Give a fuck about the people who are, you know, sat at home with no profile picture, like commenting. They're the ones not posting anything.
I think while we're talking about building a profile as well, again, in the last year or two, the algorithms have changed, and don't worry if you've only got 100 followers, 200 followers, or not many followers, because actually it's about the content now. It's not about the followers.
Follower count has dropped.
It's dropped.
You're right.
And it's that thing of, if you can create something that you can repeat, a good series, a good, you know, style that people, as soon as they see it, it's like, okay, that is that person's video because it's shot in this way. It's got the same
People
sort
love
of caption and
familiarity.
font over it.
Familiarity.
Just roll with it. Keep making that same stuff. I remember, there was people that blew up just from doing sample switch ups.
Yep.
And it was just, they'd made hundreds and they just posted regularly.
Still going.
And it's that thing of, like, if you just find like a content theme and just make lots of it, and make like series. Think of it like little mini episodic series in your DJ space.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can think about what maybe taps into your audience more from a DJ angle or a music angle, but think of it as like as episodes. You're creating episodes of a little show that people are going to tune into for 60 seconds
100%.
every other day.
Just find literally one or two people that you love to follow on Instagram or YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
And just whatever they're doing, just literally do it. Like, obviously don't copy the actual routine, but if someone's like, I put Kendrick Lamar over a Drake sample, like, do that. Like, it's like somebody didn't invent that. It's like it's like a concept. Step 3 would be network. We've touched a little bit about it, but just to go a bit further, it's like find out who's in charge of all these places. So if you've done the work, you know what you want to do. You've sort of started to build your profile. Do a bit more research into who owns the clubs, who owns the restaurant, who owns the coffee shop, who is in charge, who's the manager at the gym, etc. And just start to build a little profile. Like you can either write it down or just start to follow people on social media and just start to put feelers out, because by now you'll have a vision of where you want to go and what you want to do, some goals, and then you've got the content. You should have the content, like, posted for 30 days. You should have basically like 30 videos to be like, this is what I can do, and then it's a very easy. People don't think about it too much when they're booking DJs. They go, okay, look at profile, 1, 2, 3, yeah, they can DJ. I need a DJ. It's basically as simple as that.
Yep. Yeah.
But if you go on your profile and there's like a post from 2019, like it's like I'll be like, don't know anything about you.
I think a lot of people as well get scared by the word networking because they think I have to go somewhere in person and I have to speak one-on-one with a person that I don't know and I don't feel comfortable with.
I don't like that.
It's not that. I don't like that.
I don't like that.
And you want to just get out of that headspace of networking being this thing of like, I'm a DJ, I need to go meet a manager or a club promoter and I need to sell myself to
There's
them.
a few scary words. Influencer. Networking.
Yeah.
But there's two. It's like if you feel like marketing and like reaching out. It's a bit easier, isn't it?
Yeah. But I think, think about networking as if you comment regularly on other people in the same culture and scene as that you want to be in, that is networking. Because you're being part of the culture. You're being part of the narrative and the story within that subculture or scene that you want to be in. It can be in person, but it doesn't even need to be that you go and speak to someone. It's like, just go to the places. Go dance at the clubs that you want to be eventually DJing at. Soak it in. Soak in the environment, the atmosphere. Think of that as networking as well. It doesn't have to be that you speak to someone all the time and try and sell yourself. It can be just immersing yourself in where you want to be for your end goal. Just immerse yourself in that scene and things will start to, happen. If you don't go to that club, there's no chance of you ever speaking to anyone from that club, really, because you want to be in that same place with them, in the same environment. They don't really want to be dealing with DJs over like messages while they're doing the stuff done during the day, restocking the bar, doing whatever they're doing. Like it's not what they want to be doing. So
a few years ago, I had this guy come up to me and he gave me his phone and he like held it up. I thought it was going to be a song request, and he was like, "Do you mind if I just stand in the booth and watch you?"
Yeah, I've had that.
A year later, he was the warm-up DJ at the event.
Love that.
Just from like doing it consistently. Amazing. But that's it, just like showing his face and just being in the booth.
100%. 100%. That sort of covered sort of getting gigs in 2025. The next like highest response was getting new equipment. There's so many new equipment, especially before sort of Christmas, November time. There was like loads of Alpha Theta products wasn't there, and there's always sort of a need to want to upgrade. And I think that you might watch like maybe one of our like transitions videos and be like, oh, I don't have like stems on my controller so I'm sort of limited and I want to go for something more. So I think the first thing is to like really sort of ask yourself like why. It's like, if you've got a Flex 4, you're doing a bit of content, you're just bedroom DJing, there's not any need to sort of upgrade. However, if you started to get some like private events, your Flex 4 is not going to cut it because you're going to need XLRs and you're going to need like extra mic inputs and things like that. So you're going to have to start ask yourself like why. It's not just like, okay, that looks cool or somebody's on it. It has to have really like a functionality to it. Because most sort of controllers sort of do the same from a skill level point, but what you need to know is out in a club, if I'm taking this with me, like, can it perform like to the levels that I need to? You might get a regular gig that's like on CDJs, so you might need something a bit more familiar, like an RX3 or RX2 or whatever. But I think it's important to sort of not just get something because like it looks cool, or your mates have it, or you've seen us do a transition on it or something like that. If it isn't like what going to serve you purpose long run, it's like don't really get sucked into it, because a lot of the model replacements do what the old one did. Do you know what I mean? We can do pretty much what on a 400 what you can do on a Flex 4, what you can do on a Flex 2 or whatever, can't you? So I'd say just like ask yourself why you need to do that.
I think there's a lot of DJs that come in the controller space, and there's this point where they maybe want to shift and they know that they want to be in clubs, and then it's that move to USB, and that's where a lot of DJs then look at, like, do I need an RX3 or an AZ or old XZ? Do I need one of these units that kind of emulate a CDJ setup with USBs? And that is a reason for potentially upgrading, because if you know you want to be playing on USBs and playing house music on CDJs, it's like that makes good sense to kind of transition to that similar setup. And the funny thing is if you move to that setup, you can probably do less from a performance feature perspective than you can on a Flex 4, but it's that thing of feeling familiar with what your end goal is, again talking about what the end goal is and that movement towards it.
But like on that same sort of topic is like, if you're seeing all these club DJs on USBs and you're like, okay, let me do that, get an RX3, but then you're playing like open format hip hop and stuff, like, and you're like, I want to be on Serato on a laptop. It's like, it's like a bit of a mismatch there. The last one was DJing in public. So obviously getting more gigs, but then there's actual doing it is actually like, okay, oh my God, I'm here now. Like, what do I do? This is what I wanted, but oh my God, people are looking at me. I actually felt, when we talk about doing a gym gig, I actually felt way more nervous doing a gig at a gym than sort of any time ever. It's like weirdly intimate.
It's like people are paying more attention.
And you're like, oh, if I play a weird song and it gets them out of the mood of like, I don't know, like, it's so weird. Anyway, so the sort of 3 steps to like DJing in public, which is like, let go of control, be organised, and then do your research. So the first things first is like, and this is from our experience of dealing with a lot of requests through Liv, who handles all your emails, our social media team, of people just being, of wanting all the answers of what is going to happen, basically, right? What is going to happen when I turn up to this gig minute by minute, right?
The unknown.
And I guess it's like, you do want to be, you're so nervous, you're so anxious, and you're just petrified of what can go wrong. You're not even thinking about what kind of job you can do. You're just like, what if the music stops? That's all that goes through your mind. Like, what if somebody thinks I'm shit? What if like the manager kicks me off halfway through it? All of these things go through your mind, and like, there is an element of like, there are too many variables to discuss with you that is going to happen no matter what happens, and that'll be on your first gig and that'll be on your 100th gig. Like, it doesn't change. So there's an element of like, just let go of control and just focus on all of the positive experiences you might have or you will have doing it, because no matter what happens, say everything goes wrong, you will learn from every one of them mistakes.
Absolutely,
right? If something goes wrong and if music goes off and you don't have a spare USB, that'll never happen again. Do you know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Just know that there are going to be mistakes. There are going to be
always
issues. That there are always, you're going to face these things. As no matter how prepared you are, you are going to face certain issues or hurdles that you have to overcome, and it is just a lesson. Just take it as a lesson. All you can do is learn from it. Like you said. It really is that. It simply is. Nerves is a big thing. Obviously, it's such a big thing, and it's like anything. Doing anything new, especially in front of people. You know, you're ultimately like becoming a performer. You're like putting yourself on stage, and you're exposing yourself in some degree to other people's judgment,
and a lot of DJs are
opinions.
A lot of DJs are introverts, so it's a scary thing.
Nerves are good though. I think the nerves were good.
Nerves are good.
They kind of made me like a bit more.
I think I've said it in a past podcast, but there's like a way to look at them as it's a powerful feeling. Listen to those nerves and know that because you're feeling them, it's something powerful. It's not negative. It's
because you care.
It's because you care.
Because you want to do well.
And it's only because of that positive, caring attitude that you're feeling that way. So just remember, it is a positive thing, actually.
Step 2, organisation. So this is what you can control, right? So it's like, we always say sort of make sure you've got sort of 3 times more music than you think you're going to need. Just make sure you've got cover. I mentioned like spare USBs, spare cables, and then just make sure you've got like an organized playlist. Like I reckon if you're sort of DJing in public for the first time, it's going to be something across the board open format.
Yeah.
Rarely do you get your first gigs as a house DJ. You do. Some people do, but even in that space, if you're doing a house gig or a techno gig, there's all the subgenres and cue points and things like that. So you can control the level of organization, so you're going into it knowing that at least all your music's sort of prepared.
Yeah.
At least you've got a few backup cables, maybe headphones or something like that to take with you.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that you are in control of what you can control. Which
There is something in as well. There is something in that though, to be devil's advocate, is that over preparing like a set list can actually be a hindrance.
Yeah, no, I won't go
because
there.
then you feel like, oh, I didn't hit that transition how I practiced it at home. So then you get in the headspace of I've done something wrong. When actually nothing has changed the environment, the set, like everything's still going great, but you've now told yourself you've done something wrong because you practiced something else at home. So I think be careful of how intensely you like meticulously sort your music into a set list. I think be careful of that. Have stuff in orders, right?
Order folders.
I always say break it down into like manageable chunks.
Definitely.
So not like an A to Z, start to finish. This is my whole night. I'm going to start here and end here, and I've got all my tracks in order. Think about, okay, these 5 tracks kind of work well back to back next to each other. These other 5 tracks kind of do as well, and these are all just building blocks for a set. So you've got this pocket of tunes, that pocket of tunes, and you kind of, when you play that first tune, you're like, all right, I know what I'm doing for the next 3 or 4 tunes because I practiced that, and I'm comfortable with that. But then I need to move to another building block, and it's like, okay, what other 4 or 5 tunes are in my library that, and then I can just move across there, nice basic transition, and then you do your thing across those 4 or 5 tunes and use your library and think about this building block analogy when you're
that helped
building
me with nerves a lot, like doing that. Like I feel with the preparation, like you said, don't do the track list, but there's like some level of comfort in just knowing that you can switch directions and like pivot to anything. Like you can be ready for changes in the crowd or whatever you need to do. There's like a bit of comfort in that, I think.
And you'll use that technique even now as a regular working DJ. If you play a certain song, it triggers like a chain reaction in your mind of, okay, I've just played this Drake tune, and because I've played this multiple times before, I've also played X, Y, and Z after it, and you don't even have to have it planned in your set. You just type it in, load, type it in, load, and you just do that, and it starts to become a bit of muscle memory, and you start to just pick out these different segments that work well.
Like I said, I do think it will help with to ease your nerves going in it, just knowing that. Another one would be to do sort of research on the place that you're playing. So like ask questions about the gigs that you're going into, especially if it's your first time, and people will it's not like annoying to the person booking you will appreciate this because they know that you're interested and you're passionate and you want to do a good job. So it's stuff like, what's your start time, what's your finish time, what's the sort of demographic of the crowd, is it old, young, is it majority girls, boys, what if it's like a club event, like what tracks tend to go down well, are you doing the warm-up, like are there any other DJs, what equipment is there? That is a big one. Like if it's on a USB and there's no controller there, it like might be an issue. And all of these things you should start to we'll talk about, like controlling the inputs, is like you got your music sort of organized, and then you know what you're sort of walking into ish. That should sort of start to like relax the nerves, and then you can just sort of enjoy the experience and let a little transition not work, and that's like the least of your worries. But asking all the questions should hopefully prepare you for DJing in public. Who's got the tunes?
Jamie got the tunes.
I think I've got some tunes.
You got the tunes. Well, I've got 2 things to say. One, 2025, we're talking about all setting your goals and leveling up DJing. If you want to level up your skills with us, obviously you know that we have a selection of DJ courses, so just go to wearecrossfader.co.uk. We can use the code. Oh, we're back in business on the screen.
Oh, hey,
20 off the use the code 20 off the record, and you can get 20% off all of our individual DJ courses. Or you can check out our complete package, which is all of our courses combined into one product as well. So go to wearecrossfader.co.uk, check that out. Do we do channel announcement or not? Should we put it out there?
So
let's go.
Yes, because it ties into
the tunes.
So
me and Jamie, the last couple of podcasts before Christmas, basically had like 2 meetings on it, where we sort of talked about how we really enjoyed this section of the podcast, which basically, if you knew, we are going to play some music for you, and we're going to sort of add to playlists, but we're just going to tell you if we like them. Then we really got people really want to know the track lists and track IDs, and anything you post, you want track IDs. So then we're like, okay, we started talking about music discovery. And then we started talking about all of these YouTube creators who have these niches and they're playing in coffee shops. And we're like, we love this and we want to lean into this.
Yep.
So then we were like, should we just do a new channel or should we use this channel
off the record
to do it? And we're like, no, we'll want to keep this talking because
you're all here to listen to a podcast, right?
Yeah. So we're like, all right, fuck it. So
another one.
We are launching another channel. Bearing in mind we've got no time to film content for the current channel this week.
I don't know. We've done well. We've got lots coming.
So yeah, we are going to launch a new channel. The channel is going to be called
Office Hours.
It sort of ties into us being able to DJ in office hours. It'll play into a bit of a longer term plan for it as well. But yeah, that's a bit of a sort of behind the scenes. I don't know if by the time this goes out it'll have launched, but we'll keep you posted on it. But it's exciting. It's going to be literally long form mixing from the 3 of us. Who knows where it's going to go? We don't want to overthink it.
Nope.
We just really want it to be about music. Music only. It won't be like crazy transitions.
No,
there might be a few skills in there. You know, we're pretty good.
It's more about the music than anything.
But it's literally about music. Us just rediscovering. Not rediscovering. Maybe rediscovering.
I think it is.
It is because listen. So once we decided we were going to do this, I was like, okay, well, what do I want to do for mix? And then I'm like, okay, there's like 10 different mixes I want to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Now. This also ties into building a channel. We said you can't, it's tricky with copyright to get the ball rolling. It's much easier now. We think
we're not really
you
sure.
got to get to like a certain amount of subscribers. We think on YouTube.
We'll see.
It was like 500 subscribers, and then you can start playing more from labels. So anyway, we're like, should we like dive deep on SoundCloud? So then I was like, all right, let me dive into SoundCloud. I was also looking at like what else. If someone's going to listen to music for an hour on YouTube, like what's working online and what do people enjoy? And there's all these really good channels like Apartment Life and all this stuff where it's super vibey.
Yeah,
I was like, right, I've gone on a mad hunt, right? For
We've lost
loads of vibes.
We've lost him.
So I don't know. I definitely want to do some house and some garage mixes.
Yeah.
I want to do this style of mix, and I want to get some feedback right now on like which
is this
area
another
to
meeting
lean
online?
Into. It might be, where you think we should take my first mix.
Well,
so this tune I absolutely love.
Let's go.
Okay.
Okay.
How do I reset the BPM?
This is like singing in the shower.
So we've got Whitney, right?
We have got Whitney.
But the flips that they've got on SoundCloud.
This is a great opener.
Yeah, this is what I think. I've got it at the top of my.
It's a great opener.
So I was thinking, start the set in this kind of vibe.
I've got so many emotions where I want this to go.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Turn it up a bit.
Awesome.
So do I start up?
Oh!
Oh, hello. Didn't expect that.
So I don't know if this is 141.
Please be good.
Right?
Please be good. Are we still building up, or is that it? I don't know.
Well, it's kind of, yeah. It's kind of.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
So so we go here, and obviously I skip through it.
I love music.
But this is up at like 140 straight away, and there was loads of cool edits that I was finding that were much slower, and I was like, do I start high and then like switch it, or do I do something else?
I think with all of these things, you have to decide like what you love. Like I think that's this is what we're just gonna have to do. We're just gonna do I love this or not?
Yeah,
we're not really thinking about like an audience necessarily. It's like what we love. Otherwise, we're just gonna get into that trap of just being like trying to play for algorithms.
I started building my track list and I was so buzzing.
I'm buzzing. I'm like,
it's just tunes.
I've got 100.
I've not even started yet.
I literally got 100 tunes. So I got a job to figure out like what am I playing in what order.
Don't expect any reviews on our main channel for this year.
But there's some gems. So K-Tronada vibes as well. I want this kind of swinging.
This is one of my favourite R&B songs of all time.
So this is like 108 BPM. So I've got loads around that 100 to 110 BPM swung drum.
This screams office hours.
This is what I mean. This is stuff I love listening to, and it shows a bit of like the other side of me. So absolute vibe. I'll skip through. So
It's K-Tronada.
Yeah. It's not though.
It's not, but it is. You know, it's not, but it is.
Yeah. It's
Just
Flower Child.
Shout out the
without
last,
any.
shout out the last 2 tunes because people love to know.
Yeah. So the last one was XNY Wolf.
Oh yeah.
Whitney.
Yeah, I follow him. He's got an unbelievable bank count.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then this one is Flower Child, but without any vowels. So FLWR space CHYLD, like
Okay.
total, very SoundCloud.
Big
yeah.
SoundCloud.
Very SoundCloud
It's
name.
called Soul for Real Candy Rain.
Soul for
So
Real
yeah, Candy Rain was that tune.
Love, that's one of our top 10 albums.
So good.
And then there's some like edits here where some like cool mashups and stuff that people have made.
Hello.
So everyone recognises this, but then we just
Oh, I've got this. Yeah, I've got this. Yeah, I've got this.
with a bit of Thames
Yeah,
over.
Thames, yeah.
You know, so there's a good vibe here. But with this going office hours,
This would be this is where I would probably take it. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just gonna keep picking random ones. So
What about
on,
an office hours podcast?
so on this tip, then there's like you've got the whole selection vibe, which is
Yeah.
similar.
I love selection.
Love. Yes.
So I think this is what my first mix is gonna be. This kind of stuff.
Oh, really?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But I think this is the beauty of it. It's like we're all going to bring something different.
Yeah.
This is what we
100%.
need.
And then
Yeah.
and I wake up with a different energy.
Rewind.
Back in the game. Sorry,
We had a
we lost
bit
the
of a
camera. We lost
troubleshoot.
the camera, but we're back.
We're back. Right. So we're getting way more like R&B. Edits, flips.
This is where I'm going to take it initially for sure.
Do you
Nice.
reckon? Yeah.
I reckon so.
Because then I've got. Let me have a look here. So then there's like loads of. I don't know if this is a different mix or because we've got an hour, whether to just take it through,
Take it where you want to
where
take
we've got like.
No rules.
So the flips like much faster, 132 BPM. We know Boogie Wonderland.
Oh,
So vibes again, it's a bit more like that Whitney one at the start.
see, I've got
So
stuff like
American.
this, like bass stuff.
This is so America.
Yeah,
What do you reckon?
yeah, sick.
Not
you
for
not
me,
like,
this.
don't
Not for
like
me, that
Boogie
one.
Wonderland?
It's for me.
Not for me, that one.
I'll do one or two more.
Yeah.
That was Boogie Wonderland by Santeo. Bailey
Yeah.
edit.
I've got lots of stuff like that.
Bali.
Hopefully get you back with this one maybe.
Oh, bit of Wu-Tang. Let's go.
We'll skip him.
I hope this is good.
I can't even remember what it's like. I'm just picking tunes.
I feel like it's going to be Bali again.
Maybe.
Oh, it's like bop. It's like 90s bop.
Nice. I like this.
That is nice.
You got a vocal on it.
That's very nice.
Skipping.
I want to hear Method Man.
It just breaks down again and then.
No, that's nice.
Okay, nice vibes. Yeah, I like that.
Right, one more.
One more, let's
Yeah,
go.
let's go.
Right.
Love drunk off my hump, my hump, my hump, my hump, my hump.
I'm done with the
Hit it,
vocal.
Fergie.
I'm done with the
Yeah.
vocal.
My lovely little lumps. Check it out. I got these stuff that's crazy.
Oh, maybe I'm not.
I can just take the vocal out.
Yeah,
There we go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is so much better. So.
Let's chuck the vocal back in.
All that money got me wearing fly. Girl, but I ain't
Oh, record box stems doing bits right now.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
even said I kept on
Yeah, just take the vocal out.
The beat is
Put a different vocal
Yeah,
over.
survive.
I could DJ live on off the record here with my mouse.
Well, that's exceptional. Look, that is, I mean, yeah, you can tell we're excited.
Yeah.
So I've got a few different. I've got 130 BPM, 110 BPM, 140 BPM. Just figuring out the set list right now.
Yeah.
Well,
all of this and more.
We're going to start recording in the next couple of weeks, so we'll mention it on here, and you'll see it on our socials as well. We'll post about it, but. Yeah, any suggestions, let us know, because we are literally just going into it blindly.
Have we said that this might not just be recorded here as well?
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. People like familiarity, though, don't they? So first for a while. Listen, guys, thank you so much. It's great to be back. We will have a special guest Rewire coming up as well in probably next week. But yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll see you again in another episode. Which one is it?
There we go. This one, I think.
Let's go. No! It's been a while. See you later.
It's been a while.